Today is March 25th, 2025, and I didn't sleep really well last night, so instead of writing things today about these documents, I'm going back to the beginning and pointing out some things that I'm now looking at with a whole new perspective, now that I'm not so traumatized and feeling unsafe. This is, let me, I guess, show you the end first, right? Okay, so this was entered the 12th day of December, 2023. I want to point out a few things. On this date, where this is entered, no judge's signature, okay? But what's more important is that I had not even made a case plan with the Department of Social Services yet. I had not even, so a case plan is something that you fill out along with DSS, and it's things that they want you to do in order to satisfy the requirements they have for visitation matters, but more importantly, for reunification purposes. So I think I've posted those before, but that's really important to know that this paperwork is what I'm going to point out in the paperwork, where decisions have already been made, permanent placements have already been talked about, and neither one of us, my daughter's father nor myself, had made any case plan at this point. So that's kind of the biggest situation in this case, is that custody, not permanency, because there was no abuse, neglect, or dependency. Custody was being transferred through a government agency without my permission and consent. I had legal custody, but all these decisions are being made before I even made my first case plan with DSS. So this was really being done in the courts without DSS involvement. And then when I started pointing that out and going on social media and pointing that out way back in December of 2023, they all of a sudden started involving DSS, but at a minimum, and the guardian ad litem program for that matter. The caseworker and the guardian ad litem never even met with my daughter. So you'll see how bad this really is, and how strong of a case, I have about corruption and how they just need to drop this whole situation and give my daughter back. They're not going to cooperate with me. This was all decided amongst lawyers before DSS even came to my residence, I believe. But that's for, a federal investigation for them to figure that out. I can just point out different things that I know that maybe I'm really trying to help build a case, because I know if this is going on and this is happening with me, it's happening to other people too. And it's a waste of tax dollars. It's fraud all around. Okay, child welfare fraud, amongst other things. So this was a non-secure hearing order, an adjudication continuance order. Mind you, adjudication is when they find the child neglected, abused, or dependent. Okay. This was entered on the 12th date of December. And again, I did not even make a case plan yet, which means that's pretty much, you'll see. Okay. So I'm going to hold this steady. All right. A non-secure custody hearing was conducted on December 12th, the day of this order. That was already written out, which is unusual. Okay. Usually they're writing things out and attorneys are agreeing upon them outside of after the hearing. And it takes a while. So this was, mind you, this was the day of, okay? And this is already printed out for signature. So it really wasn't the judge's decision. It was judge signing off on something that had already been done. Okay. And in North Carolina, a judge is an attorney. So it's the attorney's club, if you will. Okay. Was conducted on this case December 12th, pursuant to a petition filed December 11th. I think it was filed on December 11th because they took, the Department of Social Services took custody of my daughter into foster care on December 8th, 2023, which was a Friday. So the December 11th would have been a Monday where they could have filed this with the courts because it was like after 5 when the magistrate signed off on this emergency removal hearing. And she stayed in the same place with the same person, and they just made it seem so different in the documents. But anyway, for the petition filed on November 6th. So they keep talking about petitions filed on November 6th, November 16th. Like, this whole case was just nothing but chaos. And like, I have complex trauma. I don't handle chaos well, like at all. And I had no attorney representing me. So I'm still so confused about what happened, why. It's just, I know that it's just like fraud, but at the same time, like, I still don't understand how they got this done because it's insane. Anyway, which was scheduled an adjudication hearing for the petition filed November 6th was scheduled simultaneously. Okay. So, I never knew anything about this. I had no attorney on November 6th. This shit was just all being done. Mind you, I had legal custody of my daughter. This stuff was all being done in the courts. I had no service. I had no idea what was going on. Nobody told me. It was, horrific and, confusing. Okay, so the adjudication shall be continued for good cause to allow the attorneys. Okay, yeah, allow the attorneys because Kelly was not a part of this. I'm Kelly, by the way. Okay. The juvenile is currently in the custody of Union County. She had been there for 4 days pursuant to a non-secure order entered on December 8th. Okay. The following persons were present. The GAL, it's like they left that off. I think that's supposed to be Jodi Livengood. It's either Jodi Livengood, Tiffany Porter, or the Judge Hucks that was like paid off on this. So one of them was paid for attorney services that's not being talked about in this documents. Basically conflict of interest. Okay. So they were like, an attorney was helping them, but they're also involving DSS. So that's why it's either a DSS attorney, the guardian ad litem attorney, both, and the judge signed off on it. Actually 3 did. So it's a big public corruption problem in Union County. Okay, next 1, 2, 3, 4. The parties and their attorneys had the opportunity to review the information introduced at the hearing. No. My attorney didn't talk to me until January 16th, 2024. She talked to me like a little bit in the hallway, but it was like such a big, like she met with me for the first time on way after all this. So, have been afforded the right to object to the information and have had the right to introduce evidence. Nope. No right to introduce evidence. No right to object, all that. They just put that in this paperwork. And of course, this paperwork goes to the attorney, not to me. So like, it's like this little attorney's club, I'm telling you. Okay. The court has inquired about missing persons. The following efforts have been undertaken to locate the missing parent and to serve the parent. The parents have been served. No. I was not served. I was served the petition that they filed on November 6th, on November 14th, 2023. I was not served anything about any of that, like any of that. So it just went to the attorney, and then the attorney didn't show me until she withdrew in March, April of 2024, way after this. So I had no idea all this stuff was going on. Mother came to the courthouse for the hearing, but refused to enter the courtroom. Yeah, my attorney was talking to me in the hallway, and like Red was right out there. My mom was right there. Like they were recording me. I was just shaking. I literally like froze and just like started shaking. And my guardian ad litem was like, she doesn't need to come in. And my attorney kept saying, you need to come in. You need to come in. Like, it was horrific. Talk about it. It was like intentionally triggered. Okay, here we go. Page. Oh wait, that's 1. Oops. I thought I had these. All right. 3. I'll go just fine. Okay. Ooh. Courts of inquiry, maternity. So they're talking about, a safe home. Mind you, they didn't know home from home. You know what I'm saying? Like these people, DSS, they came to my home on 4 occasions, 3 different caseworkers, and they saw no problem for removal. The removal situation all came into play when Martha Koscinski, Michael Jason Bridges, and Emma Roseboro got involved in this situation. And I had no idea that they were involved behind my back. Like, I had no idea there was, special services being paid for, and I had no clue. I was just living in a motel, nobody talking to me. I had no idea what to do, what they wanted from me, because I had not even made a case plan yet. Diligent efforts have been made to notify relatives of other persons with legal custody of a sibling. Okay, I had legal custody, and they were not notifying me or involving me. It's a big problem. I got 14A. I highlighted the stuff that I wanted to talk about, and then I got lazy, so no reasonable efforts were made. Big problem. Okay, now look at this. Okay, here we go. So, A, that never happened. There were no reasonable effort, services, nothing made. B, reasonable efforts have been made to unify the juvenile with family and to achieve the court-approved plan for the juvenile. Okay, well, the court has an approved plan. I never saw it. They took her on December 8th. They totally blocked me out of the situation. Like, I have no idea what they're talking about. But mind you, this is, before a case plan's even made. Reasonable efforts have been made, the juvenile with family. Okay, now they're starting to change it a little bit, like from mom to family. They're going to put us all together, and we were not a cohesive, friendly bunch, all of us. You know what I mean? Like, here we go. C. This is a big problem right here, okay? Mind you, this is December 12th, okay? No case plan had been made, anything. Look at this. C. The Union County Department of Social Service has made reasonable efforts to finalize a permanent plan for the juvenile. I'll leave that at that. Services has been offered to reunite the family. Nope. I mean, I wasn't even allowed to see my daughter at this point. GSS provide for services and other efforts returning the juvenile to a safe home. No services. They provided no services, no contact. I had not even made a case plan yet. 17, efforts to reunite family would be not futile or inconsistent with the juvenile's safety for a safe permanent home within a reasonable period of time. So here they are, December 12th, just, pretending like there's all these efforts that had been made, nothing had been done. Like, it was ridiculous. That's why they wanted me to come off social media, because I was telling on them. When this was happening, I was so confused. I'm like, please, somebody help me. It was horrible. I was going to social media, begging for someone to help me with the kidnapping. That's exactly what it was, okay? And here's where it gets kind of interesting. Here's page 3. The court has reconsidered release of the juvenile to Kelly or Michael Bridges, okay? So it's popularity contest, no case plan had been made yet, and they're saying Kelly or Michael Bridges. But of course, at this point, I think Emma and Martha were going ham with them. I believe Martha was trying to transfer custody from me to Emma Roseboro. I don't think they thought about Michael because he didn't have custody. So I think they thought that they were just going to do all this, Martha and Emma, and, Red got involved, but then it ended up working out for him too. Martha and Emma are so manipulative. They'll be like, oh, yeah, but you can get this check for her dependent benefit, and you won't have to pay child support, and we'll pay off the DSS attorney. So, they dropped the case about this child support against you. And I just imagine. And Michael was like, you're such a criminal. Oh, I'm all in. And that's how I believe this went down. Okay? I believe Emma and Martha had this all planned out. And then they didn't think about Red because they're stupid and they just didn't know the system and how this all worked. Martha came and thought she was going to get the condo sold, me thrown out of my house, and Maura transferred over to Emma within 6 weeks. Which makes sense, though. Look at the document paperwork. You know what I'm saying? They were trying to do it in 6 weeks. And I my crazy ass, I started raising fucking hell. And they were like, oh shit. I mean, I think they tried to like paint me off as like literally someone who like doesn't understand 4 + 4 is 8. You know what I'm saying? It's sad. Okay. DSS has shown by clear and convincing evidence that there is a reasonable factual basis to believe the matters alleged in the petition that are true for the purpose of this non-secure hearing. Now, I've not seen any of these petitions. I only saw the November 6th petition. So all these other petitions they're talking about are like somewhere hidden in a file or not in the file. I don't know. It's always been very confusing, but that's lack of due process, okay? For all this stuff to be going on behind my back, I'm not illiterate or unable to understand. I'm none of those things. I was absolutely understanding what was going on, and it was extremely confusing and horrific because they weren't including me, and even my attorney wouldn't tell me anything. Okay. So that's not true. Okay. For this non-secure hearing, there's no reasonable factual basis. They went off of a 911 call and like the word of people who were clearly involved in this and trying to make things happen just to hurt me. And they didn't care about Maura. By the parents, by and with their attorneys present in open court, consent to the non-secure order. The issue of placement was discussed. Okay. I never consented to the non-secure order at all. At all. I never consented. I didn't know what was happening. It was done like ex parte. On a Friday afternoon, I was never told. I just got a call from Rachel Rushing, the caseworker, telling me like, well, now your daughter's in state custody. And I just was like freaking out. Like I didn't know what to do. And then I was calling my attorney and she wouldn't answer the phone. I mean, I'm just telling you. Anyway. Number 20, there's no reasonable means available to protect the juvenile and maintaining the custody order in effect, which is like their custody order. My custody order, I had custody with me, and Emma Roseboro had no custody, and either did Michael Jason. So perhaps they did a fake custody thing behind my back. I don't know. It's for the feds to figure it out. Okay, so visitation between the juvenile and her mother is not in the best interest of the juvenile. So I didn't have visitation I had one time between October 30th, 2023, and the end of February, 2024. It was 113 days, the day that I finally got to see my daughter, because I remember that number. So they're not giving me any visitation, but then they're saying visitation between Maura and her dad is in the best interest. So basically they're trying to pay, mom out, dad in. It's contrary to the juvenile's welfare to return to her parents at this time. So Martha wanted to hold the power and control over this, It is in the juvenile's best interest to remain in the legal custody of DSS with placement in foster care. Now here's the thing. She was in the legal custody of DSS, but apparently Martha had guardianship. None of that's ever mentioned in here, which is odd. It's like a separate case. I keep saying that, it's so confusing. It's like a separate case is going on that I'm unaware of. A continuation of the juvenile in the home of Kelly would be contrary to the welfare of the juvenile due to the mother's lack of progress addressing her identified needs. Okay, this was, again, no case plan, right? No case plan yet. I had gotten 2 mental health evaluations. I had done a drug screen at the emergency room because they would not put a referral in when they sent me on November 2nd, and then just refused to because they just wanted to paint this picture that I was a drug addict. So I went to the emergency room and got my own drug screen, literally just went there for that to show them, and they threw that out. They threw out the 2 evaluations with Dr. G. Yeah. Okay. So that due to lack of mother's progress addressing her identified needs, there were no identified needs. There was no case plan to identify needs. See what I'm saying? Okay. Which she was removed. So here they're saying she was removed from my home because in the end they say she was returned to my home with Red. Makes no sense. There are no other means available for this juvenile other than the custody arrangement with this. Okay, so court's jurisdiction. 3A. No reasonable efforts were made to prevent removal. That's huge. Same for B. Same for C. Never, not true. Okay. Number 4. Look at this. 4D. The Union County, oops, let me make sure. I'm like reading it, not in the, okay. The Union County Department of Social Services has made reasonable efforts to finalize a permanent plan for the juvenile. The DSS permanent plan is reunification. It's just that permanent stuff, it says permanent plan, not permanency plan. So like this situation was supposed to be about abuse, neglect, and dependency, which would have been a permanency situation, okay? But they were very confused because like, you know, so many of these attorneys were like getting paid for services outside, like, you know, conflict of interest stuff. Like they kind of got confused about this was custody, permanency, but it's, you know, a permanent plan. It doesn't say permanency, which to me is like glaring, but it might not be. I'm not a lawyer. I've never been through this before. The documents might look the same with everybody. It's in the juvenile's best interest to remain in the legal custody. She'd been there for 4 days. Okay, number 6. There's a reasonable factual basis to believe the matters. No. All the attorneys, the DSS attorney, the witnesses at DSS, guardian litem attorney, they all knew that this was all bullshit. Okay, so they all signed off or, you know, tried to present to the court that it was factual, that the matters are true for the purpose of this non-secure hearing and the parents, by and which their attorneys being present in open court consent to the non-secure order. The issue, okay, so here we go. The attorneys doing all of this behind parents' back and then saying that, oh, because the parent had an attorney, which is like ineffective attorney. That should be another thing on the appeal. I mean, no due process, ineffective attorney, and no best interest of a child. Just a bunch of fraud. Okay. Okay, 7. Okay, number 2. The court authorizes the juvenile to remain in her placement with Martha Koscinski. Okay. Now, she was in a placement, but Martha was also given guardianship, which is weird because I'd never seen anything about any guardianship. The same thing happened with Red in either June or July of 2024, where they transferred guardianship from Martha to Red. So it's all odd, okay? Like all those extra services being paid for. But the problem is that they didn't inform me. Okay, juvenile's placement and care are the responsibility of DSS. So now they've like taken custody away from me for no reason, put it in a DSS custody, and then DSS is now going to arrange for foster care placements. But this was this day, okay? They did that unlawfully on November 4th. And on October 30th, they took control of Mora, and they didn't have the authority to do that. Visitation. The father shall have a minimum, mind you that, of 1 hour per week supervised by DSS. And then me, I shall have no contact with the juvenile. The maternal grandmother should be allowed to take the juvenile to New Jersey during the winter school break. So for 2 weeks, my mom took Morris over Christmas to my sister Emily's house without my permission and consent, obviously. That's why they had to put the case into DSS custody, not for reasons that were because of abuse, neglect, and dependency, just because they did what they wanted to do and people paid for it. Okay? So they're allowing her to not be, mom not to see her, mom not to have Christmas with her, and all this stuff hurts Mora, but nobody cared. So it's saying that they have the authority to obtain routine, treatment. They can share court orders in this matter to medical, therapy, education, for the juvenile to receive services. Makes sense, right? 3, 4. Okay, here we go. Just like this. And page number 5. So this was the day later, right? Let's get back to the first page, just to remind you. See that? December 12th. Oh, wait, no, my bad. Conducted on December 12th, pursuant to petition December 11th. The non-secure hearing in this case is hereby scheduled for December 19th, which is odd because I thought they already had the non-secure. It's so confusing. I don't get all this. The pre-adjudication hearing in this case is scheduled for December 19th. The adjudication in this case is hereby scheduled for January 23rd. Entered this 12th day of December 2023. No signature from the judge.